Hey, what's up gang? Cole Sager here. And today I got some tips on how to get started with CrossFit if you don't have access to a CrossFit gym. So let's dive in. When Genesee and I got started with CrossFit, neither of us went to a CrossFit gym. We started by accumulating a small amount of gear, keeping it in our car, going to parks, building out some pieces of equipment that we could in some garages. And we got started in a simple fashion. When I decided I wanted to start competing in CrossFit, we were still in college and we couldn't really afford to pay for a membership to go to a CrossFit gym. And so we made do with anything that we could find where we could practice technique, practice skills, or just get a good workout in. We would use the intramural athletic center at the UW. We found this little park that had some pull-up bars and some dip bars that we used. And then there's this big park in Seattle that we used to go to where we could use the football field to do some conditioning and do pull-ups on the swing set. And I mean, we got creative. We got really creative because we wanted to get better, and that wasn't, not having access to a gym wasn't gonna stop us. Though I wouldn't change our grassroots start to CrossFit, I still would highly recommend going to a CrossFit gym if you can. And I realize it's not for everybody for a variety of reasons, but if you can make it there, there's a lot of good things that come from a CrossFit gym, whether it be community, hands-on coaching, a competitive environment to push you, or just some place to keep you accountable, to keep you coming back and pursuing your goals. So if you can make it into a gym, I definitely think you should. But if you can't make it into a CrossFit gym, here are some tips to help you get started with CrossFit. At a minimum, one of the things that I would do and suggest is getting a membership at a Globo gym. Now, I do wanna say, just remember to be respectful. A lot of health clubs have some rules about dropping plates and making too much noise, just to be respectful of the other members, so just keep that in mind. When Genesee and I worked out at the Intramural Athletic Center back in college on campus, both of us were really surprised at how much CrossFit and functional fitness we could do in a standard gym setting. Because really at the base of CrossFit is doing compound movements at high intensity. You don't need a lot of fancy equipment in order to do that. It's why a lot of CrossFit gyms just have the basics. Even when we travel today, one of the first things that we'll do is look up some standard gyms in the area and CrossFit gyms. Just in case we can't get into a CrossFit gym, we can at least hit something like a 24-hour fitness because we know we can get a solid workout in there. And we're never afraid to alter the workout a little bit to fit our space. Sometimes you just gotta get creative with movements and be willing to make some changes to whatever programming or workout you have planned. That's key to working out in a non-CrossFit facility. And in one of the previous videos, I touched base on knowing your training demands and how to prioritize those. And one of the things that I think are really important in developing your skill in CrossFit and becoming more competitive in it, or just becoming better in it, is gaining strength. And a standard gym setting allows for that. They're gonna have squat racks, they're gonna have dumbbells and machines that you can just gain some strength in. And that's a key component of it, so to be able to do some weight training. So it's why at a minimum, I would suggest having a membership at a standard gym or a health club. Though some people may not even have access to a standard gym setting, and in this case, don't underestimate what you can do at a park. Conditioning can be done in a variety of locations and in a variety of different ways. Back in college, Genesee and I would hit up 3 different parks to get a workout in, depending on what our conditioning demands were for that day. Some days we wanted to do more pull-ups, so we would go to a park that had some pull-up bars. And other days we wanted to be really heavy-winded and get some running in. So there was this massive park with a couple different rugby and football fields that we could go do some conditioning there. For crying out loud, I've done toes to bar and muscle ups on field goal posts and some swing sets. I got creative, guys. I got really creative. I learned how to handstand walk on a turf field. You don't gotta make it complicated. So just keep in mind, there are a lot of things that can be used to do pull-ups in parks. And typically you can find something to do box jumps on, and there's always something that you can throw a wall ball to as a wall ball target. One of our go-to workouts back in the day at parks was 5 rounds for time, of a 200-meter run. Usually it was down and back across the football field. And then we do 10 burpees and 10 toes to bar. Sometimes there was a swing set close enough that we could do toes to bar on. A couple times, I just climbed up on the field goal post and did the toes bar there. Just be creative with your environment and don't underestimate how many movements you can do. And one of the other things that I kind of alluded to with the wall ball target is you can even bring your own equipment with you. That was one of the things that Genesee and I really focused on early on, was slowly accumulating some things that we could keep with us in our car or just travel to the park with. Eventually acquired a barbell, a couple plates, got some 45s and some 25s. Just having a few things like a kettlebell and a dumbbell can really add to the dynamic range of what type of workouts you can come up with. So if you have some space to be able to buy some of your own equipment, here's some of the first things that I would suggest. A barbell and plates. A barbell doesn't take up very much floor space, and it's something that we just kept in our car. The barbell has become quintessential to CrossFit. So having that really expands the amount of movements that you're able to do. I would also recommend getting some sort of a pull-up bar if you can. There are a lot of gymnastics movements in CrossFit, so having a pull-up bar will also expand the amount of workouts that you're able to do. Depending on your space, Rogue has a lot of pull-up bar options. Rogue has a great collapsible rig that has a pull-up bar attachment. So when it's not in use, you can just fold it up against the wall. There are also some options that just are bolted to the ceiling, so you can install them up there and save your floor space that way. And then next, I'd suggest a moderate weight set of dumbbells. For me, that's something in the 50-pound range, so I'd have two 50-pound dumbbells. But for Genesee, that'd be more like 25 pounds. Really, you just want a weight that you can do a lot of different movements with. Not to mention, dumbbells are easy to travel with. You can take them to parks, you can take them to gyms, you can take them to the lake and do a lake workout. They're very easy to transport, which is really convenient. And then a jump rope. I would recommend getting a speed rope. It's something that really adds to the conditioning repertoire. I put a link to the jump rope that I use on a regular basis below. Genesee and I always bring our jump ropes when we travel. And if you have the availability, whether it be the space or the budget, I would recommend getting some sort of cardio machine. This might be a bike, a rower, a runner, treadmill of some sort, or even a skier. This just makes getting a little bit of fitness in much easier. Me personally, if I had to choose one, I would get a bike. And then some type of gym mat is a bonus, but you'll be thankful you got one. The flooring in our garage gym are just horse stall mats that we got from a local lumberyard company. But for a lot of people, just one or two mats is plenty for their space. And if you want some tips on building out a more complete garage gym, check this video out. So now that we've identified some things like the locations and spaces that we can do fitness in, what kind of equipment we might need, and that we maybe should accumulate in order to get started doing CrossFit, there are also some movements that I think that are important to keep top of mind when first starting out at CrossFit. These few movements are the ones that I really focused on mastering when I first started. Double unders. They're the most frustrating movement in CrossFit if you don't have them. So do yourself a favor and start practicing them now. It might seem basic, but master the burpee. If you can learn how to do burpees efficiently, CrossFit as a whole is going to be easier. Plus, burpees are so easy to just throw into any workout. Next, I would spend a lot of time practicing the butterfly pull-up. Understanding the kip and the rhythm that it takes pays a lot of dividends and will help in a lot of the other gymnastics movements. And then spend time developing your Olympic lifts. The Olympic lifts that we do in CrossFit are the snatch and the clean and jerk. For a lot of us, we weren't really exposed to Olympic lifting when we were younger, whether when we were playing soccer or football or baseball or tennis or whatever sport you may have played and dabbled in. So for a lot of people, it's newer movements, and not to mention they're pretty high skill. So spend some time practicing it and getting used to it. It's okay to just start with the barbell. That's honestly where most of us should start. Start there, develop good motor pattern, and you'll improve at the Olympic lifts pretty quickly. And if you're wondering about how to learn these movements without a coach, go to YouTube. There are a lot of great videos on YouTube that will walk you through how to do these different movements and how to master them. It was a very, very useful resource for me when I first started out. Just watching people do the movement over and over again and ingrain it in my mind and see it helped me understand how to replicate that once I got into the gym. And then another great resource is CrossFit.com. They have a lot of explanations and videos that will walk you through how to do a lot of the foundational and essential movements to CrossFit. And lastly, now that we have gotten started in CrossFit, the question becomes, where do we find regular programming? I highly recommend comptrain.co. They have a ton of great resources there, and they deliver free programming online that you can go check out. And then as mentioned before, CrossFit.com is a great resource, and they have a workout of the day on their website as well. But keep in mind, there are a lot of great gyms and great coaches that put out CrossFit programming, so just find what's right for you. I put some links below to some of the resources that I mentioned throughout this video. And if you guys have any additional questions, leave them in the comments below and I'll try to answer them in future videos. Well, that does it for me, guys. I hope this video was helpful for you in getting started with CrossFit without a gym. Just remember, if you're willing to be creative and a little flexible, you can get some great workouts in. Alrighty guys, I'll see you guys in the next video. Hey gang, Cole Sager here. Be a long one.
No. I am too cold.
So cold.
Too cold for this.
That we could go do some conditioning there.
Nope.
And not to mention, the plate's stacked nicely to it. Maybe you make it a side table next to a couch or something.
Nope.
Don't do that. There are a lot of gymnastic movements that you want to develop. There are a lot of gymnastics movement. Nailed it.